Hola, soy Mónica Conesa y estás mirando Eclectic Arts Media.
We'd get our scripts and it would only say our lines in the script. It was very hush hush.
I will take the worst days in porn over the best days in finance, and I'm with my heart.
Hi, my name is Calder Schilling, and I'm playing Sherlock Holmes.
Hello, I'm Nate Tenenbaum playing Watson.
And you're watching Eclectic Arts Media.
I think I forgot your question, but I went on a different path, but it felt great.
Aloha, I'm Jake Shimobukuro, and you're watching Eclectic Arts Media.
Opportunity these people had, and then they just ruined it.
Hi guys, I'm Jillian Summers, and you are watching Eclectic Arts Media.
That's not true. People tell me no all the time. I just don't believe them.
Hey, I'm Jennifer Page, and you're watching Eclectic Arts Media.
Then when I'm doing the preparation for Shoresy, I just try to remind myself, this is fun. Make sure you're having fun. You don't have to destroy people in every scene.
If you got on my YouTube algorithm, man, it's all just life coaches and philosophy, and I mean, not all of it. It's, some of it's street fights and football, but
I always get off the phone.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts Media, based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me on this Wednesday, the 2nd of April now, 2025. And I'd like to thank my last guest from last week on Thursday, which was Jade Green. It's great getting a chance to meet her and talk about her background, which was extensive. She has all kinds of different things going on. And I do have a few things that are in the process of getting scheduled. So if you'd like to know specifically when they do get scheduled, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first, and then some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you could do me a huge favor and please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to know distinctly when I have something come up, you can hit the notification bell and you'll get an email message, I believe, about when I'm live or when I have something else uploaded on my channel. And if you're on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, that's where I started all this virtual work nearly 5 years ago. It was May of 2020 when I started over on Twitch. So it'd be great if you could follow me over there. And I want to thank Josh for making a, I think it was PayPal donation last week. Josh, thanks very much for your second donation this year. And for everybody else, there's a PayPal me and a Venmo link if you would like to donate to keep this thing alive. It does cost me money to do this streaming service every month. And then this backdrop hasn't changed in terms of the green in a while. The pictures, of course, I can just maneuver around and change things, but the actual material hasn't changed in a bit. So the money goes right back into what I do, basically, just to keep this going. I'm very happy that I've gone past 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it looks like it's still going strong. Things are kind of picking up a lot. And if you are watching this at home right now, or if you're at work listening to it, I know a lot of people do that, and you want to ask my guests a question, please join the YouTube channel or the Twitch channel, and you can just ask your question right into the comments, and then I will ask my guests as we go along. That's through the entire stream that we're doing. And if you're watching this down the road, thank you for joining us, and off we go. My guest today is a popular adult content creator. She has been rising in popularity on all of her fan sites. She is an in-demand collaborator with no signs of slowing down. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Media virtual studio, Miss Tiffany Time.
Hi.
Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for asking, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing really great. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. Super excited.
Yeah. So I first and foremost, I really love your setting where you're at, because you have your name on the wall and you've got everything else kind of. Are you a very intentional person with what you do?
Absolutely. Attention, and very intentional. And I pay very close attention to detail. I make a lot of movies here, but I do set up my space accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely noticed it. So it looks really, really nice. That's much better than mine.
No, yours is great. Yours is fantastic.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm definitely a detail person, so I definitely notice when people, especially with backgrounds and intention. I used to work with models for over 10 years as a photographer as well, so I can't help but notice detail with things. So, and I love it when when people have intention and are taking time to make sure that they're, no pun intended, making sure that the time that the details are there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely a bit nitpicky when it comes to location and filming and what the set and scene looks like. So put a lot of effort into that. Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, and so let's kind of start right there with the current things that you're definitely an in-demand collaborator with all of your fan sites that you're a part of. And so is it something that's just kind of, is it blowing up bigger than you thought it would when you first started, or how are you happy where you're at right now?
I feel very grateful for where I currently am. I started my platforms on a whim and did not expect them to take off the way they have. I mean, my name, Tiffany Time, alone was something I created in like 3 seconds. and here we are. It's becoming larger than life, really. So really, really grateful and really excited about that.
Okay, so as you were, or as you've been creating content for a while now, are you realizing like just how much work goes into keeping everything where you want it?
For sure. I put in a lot of effort from the get-go when I started all of my platforms. Spent a lot of time and effort, and over the last couple of years, this past March, made 3 years in the industry itself. And I've definitely noticed that it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job to create, just to create content, to create, your social platforms, to stay relevant on all of your socials is a job in itself. So there's a lot that goes into it for sure. And I was surprised by that.
Yeah, I have a friend that was probably at least maybe 2 years ago was asking me to help her create an OnlyFans site for content, and we'd work together as a model photographer thing. And I had to kind of tell her and preface things about like, you realize how much work this is going to be, and that you can't just do it like on a whim and say, oh, this might be kind of fun. It's like, no, you kind of have to have like a business plan and kind of plan stuff out, because you're going to constantly have to update maybe like once a week, because why would people pay for your content if you're not updating? And then they can go to your competitors over here. And she's like, really, you think it's going to be that much? I said, trust me, it's going to be a lot of work. So I'm on board if you're on board with the work, and she wasn't on board with the work. So
that doesn't surprise me. It's not for everyone. But it does require, it requires multiple film days during the week, at least three set days strictly dedicated to just filming. That's not to mention the chatting and, with fans and answering messages and things like that. It's funny that you said that she kind of needs a business plan, because when I first started, I didn't have a business plan. I was like, I'm going to start this, and it just blew up. And so I was constantly in demand for content at all times. So it's definitely something that is good if you have a plan, if you have that planning mindset. Yeah.
Well, and like you've talked about at the very beginning of this interview, even though you didn't have a business plan when you started, you're a very intentional person. So I bet you learned pretty quick along the way of like what you needed to do to get where you wanted to go, or at least what other people are doing. Saying, I'm going to take this information and then make it my own.
For sure. And one thing about me is that I'm going to get where I'm going. So I'm going to make it happen. If there's a direction that I want to go in, or if there's something that I have my mindset on, as far as content, collaborations, I'm going to get it.
So that's to say that you're a very driven person then.
Very, very driven, very highly motivated, with a very good work ethic.
Well, it's going to serve you well. I don't know, clearly it already is. And not to throw shade on anybody, but some of the guests that I've talked to, they're just kind of floundering around, honestly, with their careers. It's kind of like, do you realize that this is a business? I mean, if you're going to do this and you're trying to make money from anything, not just with content creation, but if you're a filmmaker, if you're a musician, you can't just kind of willy-nilly hope that, wishing that something's going to happen for you. It's like, no, you got to work at it and try to be smart. Yeah.
For sure. A very important person to me once told me, if anything is worth doing, it's worth not half-assing it. It's worth fully committing to it and doing it. And that is something that I've taken, you know, as a very important part of my work ethic. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
Yeah, that's great advice, and that's something that I think when I look back over my different endeavors that I've done artistically, I'm kind of like you. I just kind of, like in this case, I had no intention of doing live streams or the virtual world back during the pandemic, and but I'm so glad that I did, because it's become such a great tool for me to connect with other guests, and like literally from around the world. And sometimes when they come to Seattle, I can actually meet them in person and all that kind of thing. Yeah, but once I once it kind of gets good to me, whatever that is, then I'm going to go 110% into it. And I'm going to keep busting my ass at it and keep grinding and just keep going at it. And a lot of it's because partially it's fun, but also I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm not just trying to I like, for what I do, I don't like it when people call it a hobby, because to me, a hobby is something you just kind of do on the side every now and then. It's like, no, I work at this. This is my other job, is the way I look at it. Sometimes it's my fun job versus the day job, but it's definitely something that's not just like, oh, I decided to do a live stream today and then I want to do another one for 3 months and I won't cover a concert or whatever. It's like, no, I got things in my schedule that I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I can relate to that, because I've got places to go and goals to achieve. So I can definitely relate to just putting in your effort, your 110% effort to get what you want out of it. You had a really good point, because you said you have goals and you don't want to put things off for multiple months. You want to get it done. That's me. I want to achieve those goals. So I'm putting everything I have into this, and I'm seeing it pay off.
That's great. I mean, and we're going to talk a little bit about your background in a second, but I'm thinking about some of the other guests that I've had that have put themselves into positions where they've earned one degree and then they went back for a graduate degree, and then they've got some other things over here. Like I can tell, obviously, we'll talk about fitness. That's clearly, something that's a part of your world and your lifestyle. That it's like, well, people don't just look the way they look. And it's a lot of work. They're in the gym all the time. Actually, maybe that is a good kind of segue, that clearly you're a fine physical specimen. I mean, how far back do we go that you start taking an interest in fitness, weightlifting, running, on the whole bit?
So I've always been a runner since 5th grade, 4th grade, maybe. I would always do those little Christmas runs with a best friend. Went through all of my school years in track, spring track, winter track, cross country. So I've always been a runner. I picked up weightlifting probably about 18, and then took a wild break from it just to be wild and free, and then picked it up again probably at 22. And I seen it somewhere recently, something said that you don't have to tell me what kind of person you are or how disciplined you are, because I can see it. And so that really hit to me, because I was like, oh, I work so hard in that area of fitness and stuff. And it's just something that I feel is more than just like aesthetics. Like for me, it's mental, like running particularly. Sometimes weightlifting is work, but running is definitely something that I feel like I need mentally.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's a really good way to put it, that when you're working so hard to maintain your body the way that you are, and that I've known a couple of personal trainers in my life who actually were models at one point, and they talked about, I got to see their schedule of like, this day I'm doing this and this day I'm doing that, and I have my second session at at 9 o'clock at night or whatever they're doing, or if they're training for the Olympics and that kind of thing. It's just like, man, this is like, it really is its own job to maintain this. And yeah, if you're that dedicated to maintaining how you look, then that's going to move over into other aspects of your life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah, so that kind of I have kind of a random mind that you'll find out during these interviews.
Okay, me too. Hopefully distract you.
No, you're doing great. So with the since you've been running for so long, have you run a marathon? Is that ever a goal, or a half marathon?
That's a goal. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever thought about trying to get to that point of, let's say, once you get to a marathon, of ever doing an ultra marathon?
that's not for me. But I generally run, I feel like my sweet spot, my happy spot is about 3 miles. And that is just all mental. You know, the first people that run like 5Ks will tell you, you know, the first mile, they learn something. The second mile, they kind of kick it in gear. And then by the third mile, they've figured out, you know, what kind of run it is. So that's my sweet spot is 3 miles. I have ran a half marathon before. It's been quite a while, actually. But running a marathon is a goal. It's just, I know it requires a lot of work. Someone that I'm really like fascinated with is David Goggins. I don't know if you heard of him, but I just think he is the coolest person. And he runs ultras, and I love his books. I've read all his books. I listen to him. You know, his like there's viral TikTok sounds of him. And he keeps me really, really motivated. But one day I'll complete a marathon.
Okay, yeah, no, and like you mentioned earlier in this interview, I mean, you're spending so much time trying to build up your brand across your fan sites. So it's like there's only so much time in the day, Mark, to run, especially running, because if you start getting towards that marathon goal, you're out there for a while training.
I've heard the training is absurd as well. And I will say that I am guilty of letting my work take first priority and fitness second priority. So, you know, that's up for debate. You know, some people feel the opposite way, but for me, I've always taken work first and running and fitness second.
Okay, yeah, I mentioned to my guest last week, who's also in the adult world, and she's a big time runner, runs marathons, the whole thing. That I've got a friend that lives in Atlanta, or outside of Atlanta, and he owns a skydiving store. And so he's the CEO, but he runs ultras.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, Mark, knowing that, because I knew him back in high school when we were like just two geeky music people. And for him to become and build up his own business, be the CEO, he's done like over 6,000 jumps out of planes, and then he's running ultras, like many of ultras. Like, no, this makes sense, because once you did one, I mean, you worked so hard to get your business up here, then across there, you saw another challenge. So I want to do that now. So then he's doing that. God knows what he's doing now. But
that's really.
Yeah, it's just like, and I don't run so much now, as people can tell by looking at me, but I used to run, and even like when I was in 6th grade, I was running 10Ks and things. So at least for me, like you kind of mentioned, that mental part of it is so nice that you're just kind of out there with the elements, wherever you're running, or if you're inside of a track or whatever, that I can really, whatever stress is going on in my world, it just kind of leaves my body once I'm actually out there running.
Yeah, I can relate to that, because I feel like I usually run alone. Running with people would be fantastic, but that's, you know, not quite my reality. I generally run alone, and it's always me against me, you know, and it's and it's always me trying to talk myself through it, you know, keep my attitude positive. So it's definitely more mental than I think than it is physical, especially on a rough day.
I agree. I had tried to run with a partner, and I just couldn't get used to it. Like the whole rhythm's different. You got somebody else here, and you hear their breathing, and and sometimes they're trying to talk to you. And maybe if I'm having a rough go of it, then I don't have enough oxygen to talk back to them or whatever. So I'm like, this is better if I'm just out on my own time doing my thing.
Yeah, I've previously, I had one running partner. He was actually my dad, and he was so fantastic because he wouldn't talk to me. We matched stride perfectly. And then one day I just got faster than him. You know, one day, you know, I went from being young and, you know, him always being in the front to being the leader of our little, you know, our runs. So now I find myself just running alone often, but definitely some good memories. It's definitely easier when all you have to worry about is yourself and your stride. That way, if you suck that day, you could just take it as a loss, you know?
Absolutely. No one else is going to know other than you.
For all anybody else knows, they're like, how was your run? And you're like, oh, it was great. Flew through it. No problem. Well, you're fighting for your life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no eyewitness to say, "Oh, no, she she wasn't doing well
She was
today."
fucking, yeah.
I can tell you this little aside. So one of those 10Ks I ran when I was like in 6th grade, I ran with my mom. So I can relate to the whole, parental thing. And as we were getting to the finish line, the crowd was really cheering me on because they see this little Asian kid, getting close to the to the finish line. So I started pulling away from my mom. I tried, whatever energy I had left, I just sprinted towards the finish line. What I didn't realize is that on the back of like your certificate or whatever, if you had a sticker, then you got a prize. And so I think they purposely wanted to make sure that I got a sticker on the back of mine because I'm a kid. Yeah, and I got like the stuffed animal thing is what I that's what I got.
That's
Yeah, but to this day, I think my mom, and sometimes she's watching my live streams, remembers me pulling away from her.
That's funny. You got to
And-
give it your all, so it's fair. Nobody can
Yeah.
call you for that. You got to sprint at the end.
Yeah, and people are cheering for you, which was a new thing for me.
It's so funny how like you feel like you're totally out of energy, and then you hear people cheering, and you're like, oh man, and you got to like push through it.
Yep.
I can relate.
Yeah, it's very much a real concept when people are cheering you that
Yeah.
it lifts you up.
It does.
I've also been on the other side of that as a musician when I used to play music around town in a duo where people aren't liking what you're doing and they're letting you know verbally was okay, but we never had anything thrown at us. But we had one guy that I don't know what his problem was, and we were just playing cover songs. This was not a career path or anything, but just for fun, playing for beer and tips kind of a thing. And this one dude was just like saying that you're not the brewery. He would say the brewery's name. You're not such and such, brewery material. You shouldn't be here playing and blah blah blah. And he was like sitting like 10 feet from us, and I'm like, and here's the worst part. He had like maybe at most a 5-year-old with him in a little wagon as he's saying this stuff to us. So I'm like, dude, what kind of example are you for your kid? Or assuming it's your kid. He eventually left during our set, and my singer got pretty shook up by that because she doesn't deal well with criticism, and I deal with it moderately well. But I told you, he's one out of many. Look at all the other people that are enjoying this. So don't try to block him out. And if he had stayed there, it probably would have been different. I probably would have had to like kind of deal with him basically. But yeah, just weird that I'd rather have people cheering me and asking for song requests or at a finish line than someone saying you suck and you're whatever.
You got to take it with a grain of salt though, because there's always going to be someone that's just hating from outside the club, and that's something that is, there has to be accepted. There's miserable people and there will always be miserable people. And you just need to learn to like leave them be because they're definitely not going to bring, if they can't bring themselves up, they're definitely not going to be able to bring you up.
That's very wise words. And as a content creator, as a media person, especially with social media all over there, people think they can say whatever they want to people and DM stuff. And I'm sure I don't get even a tenth of what you get, but even the things that I get sometimes, I'm like, you spent this much time, writing something this long. It took me to scroll through or whatever, and I'm just going to delete it and block you. Don't you have something better to do with your life?
Yeah, I don't do anything about it anymore but laugh because truthfully, nobody knows you, nobody knows your reality and, your accomplishments and how many wonderful things that you've done in the world. And so really, I don't know. They've put a lot of their effort, a lot of their negative energy into writing whatever it is. It makes me laugh. I generally try to laugh it off, but hopefully you can do the same,
Yeah, and definitely in the last, I'd say 2 to 3 years, it's just like, it really is something to laugh about. And it becomes something where I try to make sure that even just here in my day-to-day real life here, that I don't have toxic people around me. And so if you prove to be time and time again that, you got some issues going on or whatever, well, then go figure those out. But I don't want that around me. And same thing with, social media and everything else. And I can tell you this little aside story, which I think I've talked about once on a live stream, that there's a band that's really getting bigger and bigger every year. And they've got a rabid fan base. And I did an interview with the band, which was great. Great band. I loved having the fans in the chat and all that. And I did a follow-up with a different music artist probably like 3 months later, and that artist, I, for whatever reason, I couldn't remember the name of the one I had done like 3 months earlier, and a fan just chastised the crap out of me for forgetting the name of the other band, because he was in the chat for both of them. And so I'm like, dude, you know, I am human. I forget things sometimes, and it is live in the moment. It's not something where I can go back and edit things. That's why I like doing these things live. You're like live on stage. And the kicker was that probably like a year later, I had posted something to promote that first band that I'd interviewed that he was first in, and he came out of the woodwork to talk about, oh, so you remember them now. And that's when I did laugh. I was like, man,
Yeah.
you're pathetic. I mean,
You know what I'm saying? There's always the one, you know.
yeah, and he was the one, and I haven't heard from him since.
Well, good riddance, you know.
Absolutely, it's like, you know, there's so many other things I need to spend my energy on, and it's not you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so speaking of, so we talked about with running and working out, and how is that? Kind of gives us a good segue. How did that parlay itself into what you're doing with content creation? Was that a piece of how you started, or maybe you can actually give me the background? How did you start into getting content creation going?
You know, I made like I made a Reddit post. I made one Reddit post, and the internet just kind of blew up. They loved it. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is something that more people are into than I thought. And that's when I created, you know, my platforms, like my OnlyFans and my Fansly. And fitness has always been, because it's always been part of like who I am. I think it's just naturally shown its way into my content. It was never really a theme like, hey, make workout content, that'll do well. It's always just been like, this is my normal, and this is what is normal and authentic to me, and that's what I give off. So you know, whether it's fitness or, you know, any kind of anything else, whatever is authentic to me is what I'm doing, and whatever is not authentic is not for me. I really feel like in content creation as a general, whatever comes naturally to you is what's gonna, you know, make you shine. Things that you're not quite comfortable with, or you really aren't quite interested in, you know, don't really serve you well in content creation.
You know, that makes a lot of sense. And with some of the other adult folks that probably most of the other adult folks that I've interviewed who have their own fan sites going, that's pretty much key, that they're trying to do put out their personality onto their sites. And if there's something over here that's not quite them, or they're not, like you mentioned, not quite comfortable with it, then they're like, I'm not going to go over there, because it kind of comes off that way on camera, on video, or things that you post, or photos.
I mean, there's something to be said about trying new things. Ooh, I love trying new things. But but as far as content creation, it's just you know, what you want it to be natural and authentic, and you don't want to be, I personally don't want to be someone that I'm not. So trying new things is fun. But you know, you do see people out there that do things that they normally wouldn't do just for clout or to go viral or what have you. And that's just not something I'm interested in.
You sound like a really grounded person. Like, you know what you want, what you don't want to do. Maybe at the time you don't want to do. Like you said, new things are great if it's something that in my gut feels like I want to do this, versus like someone bringing something up to you, hey, you want to do this? And you're like, I don't think I'm interested in that right now, or maybe ever. So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, you want to do like I want to do what I'm passionate about, you know, and I want my fans to be passionate about those things too.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's ever watched any of my live streams when I first started in 2020, which is still on my YouTube channel, they can go back. If you want to laugh, go watch those early ones, because I was trying to not be me. I was trying to be like a you know, a Jimmy Kimmel or something, like a late night talk show host. That's not me at all.
It's a learning experience, you know, and I wouldn't laugh at you. If anything, I'm sure there's something I could learn from you somewhere in there.
Well, yeah, if you ever get bored or you're at the gym with your earbuds in or something, you want to go to the YouTube channel, you can see, or at least hear some of that content that I had done back then. And it was absolutely a learning experience. It was something that hopefully I can look at it, I can laugh and see like, yeah, Mark, you got better, as you're going along.
Yeah, I love that.
I do. And thankfully I had some friends I asked for some feedback, because I'm very much about when I try something new like that, or, this format here, that I wanted to know, what did people think? How did it come across? And a couple of friends, I asked them after I'd done, I think it's like the third live stream, I said, how did you like it? And they said, you know what, Mark, the part that I liked was when you made fun of yourself. And I was like, oh, I mean, the self-deprecating part? And they said, yeah. I said, because that felt like you. The other part feels kind of phony. And I was like, oh, interesting. I thought I put so much work into making it seem like I knew what I was doing, and then I should just kind of be myself, is what you're telling me. And they're like, yeah.
And
and
you
it
don't
turned,
want to force it, you don't want to force it.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I was.
It comes out so clearly on camera,
That's what I learned. It's like, you know what? Just do what you would normally do when you're doing in-person interviews, or if you're having a conversation with somebody, and then kind of build from that foundation. Don't make this fake foundation over here, because people are seeing through it, and it's not connecting with the guests either, because then they don't know who they're talking to, which is a big piece of me from many of the day jobs I've had. That it's like, no, I had to find ways to connect with the people that I was working with, and if I didn't, then I had to find a new way to connect with them, and keep trying and keep trying. And I know for myself that I've been interviewed a couple of times, so I've been on the other side of this table, that when the interviewer just didn't really share much about themselves, I didn't know who I was talking to. So then why would I share much about myself?
For sure. Yeah. That's so true. Because like you want to give off who you are so that people can connect with you. And something that I've learned over the course of the last couple of years is you're not everybody's cup of tea. And that's fine, because I don't drink tea anyway. I'm a coffee drinker. So it's like, whatever, you don't want to be someone you're not. You don't want to give off force. And hey, if someone's not for you and is not is not passionate about the same things that you are, that's okay.
Well said. I've told people many times on these live streams, just in general, that to me, I'm just following the path that I'm following, and the audience will eventually find me.
Yeah.
Instead of me chasing all over the.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't work. But if we go back to your, like you said, that it wasn't like a theme for fitness to be part of your content creation. For people out there that want to check out your different platforms once we're done with this interview, what kind of content are they going to find? Like, what kind of, are there certain types of scenes you like to shoot or have been shooting, or what kind of things are there? So
I am big into like kink and the fetish world. So the types of things that somebody's going to find on, Loyal Fans or OnlyFans or whatever it is a lot of like femdom, a lot of pegging, a lot of kink, a lot of latex, a lot of, so I'm actually not a dom or a dominatrix, if you will. I'm a switch, which if you're not familiar with that term, really just means that you possess both submissive and dominant qualities, and you are able to be versatile between the two, dependent really on the other person's energy and the other person, where they are, because you want to meet them where they are, right? And so depending on that dynamic, that really determines whether I'm more submissive or more dominant. Naturally, I'm just more dominant. And so a lot of what you're going to see on my pages is that very dominant personality. I'm dominant. I'm very straightforward. I'm going to tell you what I want, similarly to when you said you seem to know what you like and what you're after and what you want. I give all of that off in my platforms. Okay, so that sounds exciting for people. And I think it's interesting too that with you building your platforms, that you're in kink. Which I don't think necessarily people start and go right into kink. So I'm kind of curious, is that just something from your personal life that you've always liked, or? It is. So it is. I've always been into like, I don't know, like switching roles. Like if I date you, like I want to play with your butthole. Like, I'm going to do it. So I'm just very open, like, in my sexuality. And I like it when the other person is pretty open-minded as well and willing to try new things. So initially, when I posted this Reddit post, it said, it was a picture of me essentially naked with a strap on with like a big black cock. And it said, meet your new daddy. And the internet loved it. They loved it. They thought it was great. And I wasn't really expecting that response. And so my next post was just a little, like a GIF or a short video of me just really enjoying myself and pegging my partner. And that did really well on my page. Both for me, but also for my fans, because they finally felt like like they finally found this woman that they connect with. Like as a man, I feel like, or as a woman, I feel like men feel like they can express themselves to me, about like their sexuality and what they're really into, that they don't want to tell their girlfriend that they're newly dating or what have you. So I've always, to answer your question, been into kink stuff. Yeah, and I brought that right from the get-go on my page.
Okay, well, and it goes back to what you were saying, that it's something you naturally have an interest in, a kinky, and something that you like, so that when you went into your content creation, you're still being yourself. You're doing things that you wanted to explore and try some new things, but still in that ballpark. It wasn't something, left of field where you're like, this seems to be popular with all the other sites, so I'm going to do it too. It's like, no, this is naturally part of who I am, so let's go for it.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see those connections. I've been told quite a few times, like, hey, thank you for being yourself, and thank you for showing me that it's okay to be who I am, and it's okay to explore sexually, and I feel a lot more comfortable with like my sexual desires, and I'm open to trying new things. And I'm like, wow, like I never intended to have that effect, but it brings me a lot of happiness knowing that I can be who I am, and also give people the message that it's okay for them to be who they are.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that's gotta rightfully so, make you feel really, really good, because it's like these residual things that come from what you're doing. It's like, I wasn't planning on it affecting people this way, but I'm so happy that it does.
Yeah, it was really, really really cool experience. So I do appreciate all of my fans that have reached out to me and said something of the sort at one point in time or another.
Yeah, I mean, even like for me, just doing these live streams, especially during the pandemic, that some of the DMs I was getting were pretty heavy, pretty serious. I was so happy that I was helping people through a really tough time. Yeah. And granted, it was tough for me too, but that wasn't the plan. The plan was just to do 30-minute interviews before this virtual tour that Alice, a band from Los Angeles, was kind enough to invite me to. And so, like I mentioned, I didn't know anything about this stuff, so I was freaking out about just the technology piece and trying to interview guests. And I've never had to book a guest every single day for like 15 days straight.
Yeah.
But then, getting these messages, I'm like, wow, that makes me feel so good. I'm so happy that I've lightened your day a bit by just having something to listen to, or sometimes they feel like you're a friend or whatever. I'm like, hey, that's great. Please keep listening. Please, if there's other things that you're getting out of this that you want to let me know, if that you're looking forward to, then that's great. Even like right now, I mean, you just never know, like what you're doing, how that's affecting other people. Sometimes you kind of have this part here, but you don't have this other part out here.
Yeah, there's that thing, and I forget what it's called, but it's like recognizing that everybody has a life that's like as complicated and complex as your own, and really keeping that in your mind, like everything you do is affects other people. So it is cool. That's a interesting perspective, but it is cool to hear how what we do, you with your podcast and me with like adult entertainment and how that affects other people.
Absolutely. And then, especially with fan sites, that the fans that are part of your various sites, that they feel like they, within reason, I mean, they feel like they know you. They feel like that you've had a direct impact on what they do. I'm old. I'm an old fart. So I remember back in the day when you would get like a VHS, adult tape that you would rent from a video store, and you had no connection to any of that stuff other than for it to get you off. I mean, that's all it was.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching something that had Christy Canyon in it or Nikki Dial or something, it's like, I was never going to meet these people or be able to tweet them or whatever. It's just like, that was not even in existence. So it's a very different world now with the parasocial relationship that people have.
Oh yeah, social media has changed everything, hasn't it?
It really has, and I feel like I'm so behind on it still.
Yeah. You're not alone.
Well, I'm glad I'm not alone, because yeah, I'll see people's stuff and I'm like, man, that's really cool what they just did for that reel, or if there's something on TikTok, and I'm not personally on TikTok myself, but I see other stuff, people's work, because I need to keep up with what's going on with the trends and everything. And I'm like, man, I'm like 10 steps behind you guys.
I know it's challenging, but hey, you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm doing what I can now, and if I ever end up with some extra time, which probably isn't going to happen, then maybe I can dedicate more to that.
I can relate.
Yeah, it's about priorities, and it's not that that's not a priority, but these other things are above it. Like, I need to get ready for this interview I'm doing today.
I know.
That's a priority. Just out of curiosity, and we got at least another 10 minutes or so. And I see the people that are watching and are listening. If you have a question for Tiffany, just put it into the chat through YouTube or Twitch. Where has life taken you? I mean, have you been around the country? Were you kind of staying put in terms of places that you lived?
Oh yeah, I've moved all over. I'd like to make an excuse and be like, oh, I'm just trying to find the spot that's right for me. But at this point in life, I just like to move. I've moved everywhere since I was a kid, really. So I used to move back and forth between New Jersey and Texas. And then in my adult life, I've lived in Portland. I've lived in Los Angeles. I've moved back to New Jersey. I moved to Texas, and who knows where we're going to go next.
Do you feel that it's a little bit of wanderlust for you?
So it is. I do love to travel, and my fans know that. Not only in the US, but also abroad. I've backpacked all over the world, really. My favorite, in case anyone is wondering, it's Patagonia. So I backpacked through Argentina and Chile, and it was a magical time. But I've also explored other countries and the US itself. I've been to the majority of the national parks. So it's definitely something that I love to do. And I have just recently started to bring that more into my content as well.
Okay, I was just going to ask if you've taken that other love and put it into the content part.
Yeah, so I've always had photos. I've always been in some cool forest somewhere, or flower field somewhere in the world, and been let me flash my tits for the camera. But there's tons of those pictures, and there always has been. But just more recently have started to vlog these. And so I'm really excited to take my fans on these hikes with me. Filming the first couple have been a lot of fun. So I'm really excited to see what we get into next.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm thinking that, it's great that you're vlogging some of these backpacking trips and things that you have such a passion for. Because I also think it's pretty, I don't know if it's rare, but it's definitely something that's unique to someone that if I go to a performer's fan site and then they've got vlogs about, I'm down in South America backpacking someplace, I would definitely look at that just to kind of see what are these other aspects of this person that I enjoy.
Yeah, it's cool to be able to interloop that passion with content in itself, because I love hiking, man. I really do. It makes me ridiculously happy. I love to travel in general. I particularly like the type B is that what it's called? Type B type, like B type fun, you know, like the 10, 12, 14-mile hikes that nobody would think are fun, but I think they're fun. And it's been really cool to like start the first couple of vlogs and just like take people on a hike with me, like from the start at 4 a.m. to the end at 11 o'clock, you know, to see all the peaks and the valleys and the different experiences along the way.
I'm kind of wondering, like with let's say with a scene for one of your fan sites, have you filmed anything where like you're pulling a strap on or a dildo out of like a backpack?
So no, I haven't, because I think the public thing, I think there's some sort of like fine line between like what's public and outdoor, and I'm not trying to push my limits there, but I have hiked, like I hiked the Dolomites in Italy. I hiked all the way to the I'm forgetting the, oh, now everybody's going to come for me. See, now we're going to relate on something else, Mark. But I hiked up a ridiculous mountain after a ridiculous hike. It was freezing cold. I stripped absolutely naked, whipped out my strap on, and stood on top of this cliff and took these amazing strap-on photos. And I think that my fans loved it. I don't know. I had a great time, and that's really all that matters. So,
no, that sounds awesome. I mean, you painted such a great picture. I'm picturing you going up this mountain, and then you're standing there, and like clothes comes off, right, the strap on.
Oh
like,
yeah, it's freezing cold. Like your feet are wet and sweaty. You know, there's people down at the bottom that you're trying to avoid. You can just imagine. You know,
that's awesome. I know. Again, way back when I was doing the model photography stuff, that some of the models that like doing like bodyscapes and things of that nature, some of them, they're like, Mark, let's do this stuff outside. I'm like, we're going to have to get kind of remote to find a place we can do this safely.
Yeah.
And sometimes we did. One of the funniest ones I'm thinking about, there was actually a model from San Francisco that did it full time, and she came up here and said, Mark, I'm up for anything. We worked before, so what ideas do you have? And I said, she was talking about, she had just gone fishing. And so I'm like, why don't we try to get a really, really early morning shot of you out at the beach on the ocean here in Seattle, with you with a fishing pole and a tackle box with no clothes on.
Oh yeah.
So
as a photographer, you can relate that the conditions that make for the best photos are always brutal. They're always brutal. It's always freezing cold. Nobody had their coffee yet. You're naked. It's just it's all a part of the experience, I guess. It
is. I always have to justify that when I see the shots afterward. If there's something like even just one of them that I would make into a print and frame and put on my wall, then mission accomplished. That it was worth all the aggravation and everything else.
It always is. I feel the same way when I post-process my photos and stuff. I'm like, wow, totally worth it.
Well, I can add into that. One of the things that we were laughing about when we were doing that sheet was that I was trying to figure out. So I wanted the fishing pole to look like it had a fish on it, so it needs to have some weight. And I had gotten a sock, and unfortunately, I put golf balls in it. I thought golf balls, if I had enough, it would weight it down. They float, so it went like this, and it was floating on top of the water. And so I had to take that and get rid of the golf balls, just put a bunch of rocks in it. Then it sank like a stone. So it was
funny.
And she's standing out there with a coat on, ready to take the coat off and grab the pole again and everything. And that morning was cold because I remember there was frost here. So I even said to her, I said, "You sure you still want to do this?" "Oh yeah, hell, let's get out there and do this thing. I think it's gonna be fun."
Oh, I always tell myself, I just take a deep breath and I'm like, it's gonna be great, knowing damn well that it's gonna be ridiculously cold. It's gonna be great.
Well, and I can tell you too that one of the things that I learned, and this is a shoot that I did in November, actually at the same beach, but because of the angle, the model was going to be on the sand, so I needed to get into the water. And this again was in November in Seattle, so it was freezing cold in there. And like I told us, I'll probably last, I don't know, maybe a minute if I'm lucky. In terms of, I'm just going to start losing feeling everywhere. And then it started to rain on us. I remember that too. And it's like, what are we doing out here?
But was the footage good?
It was. It looked like something that's not. Yeah, it was like nothing in my portfolio. So I was like, yeah, this was worth it. But we were actually going to go to another location. We both looked at each other and said, I think we're good. I don't think I have any warmth to go anywhere else. But those are great memories too. They're fun memories to think about.
Oh, they're always the best. The it's always the times that you like. I feel like every hike and every photo shoot is in nature, if we're talking in general outside, is always a learning experience. And it's always the ones where you have like the worst experience during the hike or during the photo shoot that is like the most memorable, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I could sit here for hours talking about different scenarios on photo shoots and what we went through to make them happen. And then, the end result was spectacular. And that's why you keep doing it. It's like, you know what? I remember what happened last time, but look what the result was. So, okay, we'll do it again over here. Tiffany, as we kind of get close to winding this down, so you're doing lots of content creation on your fan sites. Does that mean, are you going to be moving into like doing studio work with like mainstream studios at any time?
Good question. I have some things going on, but I don't want to give any secrets away. So I guess, and I already did give a little secret away about my vlogs because I haven't published any of them yet. But I'm super excited for that. So hopefully my fans will follow along. As far as mainstream stuff, I'll say that I'm intrigued, and we'll see where life takes us.
Okay, that's fair enough. And I have plenty of guests that have some things that are either in the hopper or they're not quite sure if they're in the hopper yet, so they can't quite say anything yet.
Yeah, there's some I have all of these words of wisdom from somewhere that I don't remember, but it said like, when you've got a good thing going and you're really excited about something, just like hold on to it for a little while and keep it for yourself. Because truthfully, you're the happiest about it anyway. So I'll hold on to some things, and I'm really excited to share it with my fans when the time comes.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good advice piece. I think I'm going to be thinking about that too. It's so easy to kind of let it out to basically the public when you didn't even have time for yourself to enjoy it.
Right. And you're so excited about it. So you might as well just relish in it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially these days, because as soon as people see something, they're like, so what's next? Where's the next thing? It's like,
I know. It's an endless loop,
Yeah, it's just like, I just published this backpacking vlog, and it took me 20 hours to edit it, and so you're not going to get another one for a little while at least.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened to society, and I'm no different. Like if you're binge watching a TV show or something, it's like if the access is there, you got all 10 episodes, you can just sit there and do it. Versus again, I'm dating myself, but go back to older days, it's like, no, it was once a week, and you just had to wait. You had to have patience.
Oh yeah, I know, but it's something that we're just not quite accustomed to anymore.
Yeah, basically once the internet showed up, and then social media showed up, and then streaming showed up, and it's just like constant. I mean, if I was, I don't know, like in high school, you couldn't stay up all night and watch things unless you had like HBO, and they were showing like the same two movies, like on a loop.
No, it's important to if you're talking along the lines of like movies or shows, to like, in my case, it's books, but you watch it, you read it. It's important to relish in it for a little while, reflect on it. I don't know, go outside and touch some grass, and then look forward to the next one.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And it's even from, if someone's looking at, joins your fan sites, it's like, kind of take in what's going on here. Maybe what is it about this particular photo set or like a video that's up there that you really, really particularly like, and try to figure out why is it. And then you can message Tiffany and try to figure out, I really love this one video you did, and this is kind of what I got from it. Instead of like just going through like all 20 of them or 30 or 40 or whatever, and then like, okay, I'm ready for 41. I'm ready for 42.
Yeah. Something interesting about that and about my media is that it is all, as you mentioned at the beginning of our interview, it's all intentional. There's not a photo shoot that you'll find that I didn't have a very vivid vision of, and a very, something that I wanted to achieve. So I do love the idea of my fans catching on to that and thinking, what is she trying to achieve here? What vibe is she trying to set? What is she trying to give to us? But don't worry, there's plenty of them.
Yeah, I mean, do what I did. I mean, start looking at if there's video or like a photo set like here. It's like, okay, look at all the things that you did to make this background look the way it does, which is amazing. And then if you're looking at something else, yeah, what is she trying to get across? Instead of just like,
so much. I
yeah,
appreciate that. You notice. That means so much to me.
yeah, no, absolutely. It's so like when I review shows and things like that, I notice the set design. I have to. It's just like, oh, look at that little detail they put over here, and look this thing. If they have actors walking down the aisles to get to the stage, oh, the director decided to have actors kind of break the fourth wall. I notice that kind of stuff, and also again, being a photographer, you definitely have to notice things. I think you have to notice details because then some of your photos are going to be kind of weird. I still remember I did this one photo shoot, and for whatever reason, the model was sitting on a bench, and I didn't realize all this garbage that was underneath the bench. And people are like, "Oh, well, you can just Photoshop that out." I said, "I'm not going to Photoshop out 100 images of this garbage. I should have noticed that and got rid of it first, and then start taking pictures." And as you said earlier, it was one of those learning experiences. And every time I was outside, I learned something. Oh, don't forget to look at all the stuff around Mark.
Yeah, I can relate to that because for me, it's the tag on the back of my latex or the tag on the back of my bikini, and it's like, oh, it'll ruin it for me. So attention to detail, you know.
Absolutely. Tags. I noticed like if their bra, if they took their bra off or whatever, we're doing like a bare back, and you can see the lines on their skin, so they got to sit there and try to rub it, and sometimes it doesn't come out. And I always tell them, I was like, we want to get everything right as we can, just like I want to get as much right in the camera as I can, so I don't have to post-process too much later, because that's your skills. Are you a photographer? Are you a post-processor? Or are you both?
Yeah.
And same with this, because some models are, oh, isn't it okay if I just show up wearing this? I'm like, no, I want you wearing like your loose clothes or whatever we need to do, so that that's one less step to deal with, basically.
Yeah. We all got enough work, don't we? We don't need any more.
Absolutely. It's just like, let's make this as easy as possible. So, yeah. But Tiffany, it's been awesome talking to you and getting to know you. And again, so free time to plug your sites. Where can people find you and join your sites and enjoy your content?
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Mark, for having me here.
Yeah. So you're on OnlyFans, Fansly, Loyal Fans?
Yeah. So I'm on OnlyFans, Fansly, and Loyal Fans at this point. I am exploring, all different kinds of things on each platform. But I do have also a Twitter and Instagram. I'm on TikTok, and I try to incorporate different things on different platforms. Nobody wants to go to one platform and see the same thing that they saw on all the other 5 platforms. So keeping up with the trends and trying to bring some humor into it along the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I'm following you on Instagram, and I think I found a page on Facebook too that you're.
I have that too.
Yep. So I'm following you there, and then again, I don't have a TikTok, but that doesn't mean I can't go look at people's stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a great day, Tiffany, and hopefully I get a chance to actually chat with you again. I love having guests come back. So anytime you want to promote something, let me know, and then we'll make it happen.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Mark. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.